guys, it's Christine, also known as Ivy Winter. Thank you for joining me for another Disney video. Today's was actually a request from Enigma Gears. Thank you for asking me this question. And it was specifically what kind of advice I would give for a solo traveler to Disney World, where it's also their first time to Disney World. So first time trip, but also alone. How would my advice differ from just plain solo advice or first timer advice? And the truth is that you could probably go through advice for both things and kind of combine them, and I think that would work just fine. I don't think there's too many things that are different in this case, but I did want to bring up a few things that I just want to really urge you as you're planning your future trip, for you and for anyone else watching this who might be doing solo and the first time in Disney World. First is really take advantage of being a party of one, okay? Like, this is so important. This is great for any solo traveler, but as a first time traveler, really make sure you take advantage of this. And this goes with so many things. So it's not just single rider on some of the rides, and there aren't actually that many rides that do single rider. It's Everest, Rock and Roller Coaster, and Test Track, and then Flight of Passage technically sort of has one, but only when you get to a certain point in the queue. Other than that, you know, there isn't really any other dedicated single rider line, but a lot of the times a cast member might call out for a party of one, and so you want to take advantage, raise your hand, say, yep, that's me, and sometimes you can pass by 15, 20 people. And it's not just about that. Take advantage of the fact that as one person, it's going to be very easy to get restaurant reservations. Generally, it's about the same in terms of getting for a party of two, because they're probably going to give you a table for two. But not just restaurant reservations. If you are going to a restaurant where you're having a hard time getting a table, but there's a bar and you can eat at the bar, super easy as one person to roll on in and sit down and have your meal at the bar. You don't need to have your own table and be waited on in that sort of way. So take advantage of the ability to really make restaurant reservations however you want to. You are also one person and can get to places early enough to get front row at, you know, Finding Nemo the Musical or Festival of the Lion King, or do the best that you can to get those seats. You can get great spots for fireworks and for parades. And the nice thing is, when you're not a group of 6 trying to find a spot for the parade, it is so much easier to find a good spot. You don't even have to line up early. I have rolled up to Festival of Fantasy Parade, which is the 3 o'clock parade in Magic Kingdom, 10 minutes before, and as one person can find a spot, because I don't need a lot of space as one person, as I would if I was traveling with a bunch of people. So, you know, there's that benefit of not necessarily having to plan out super early, but even if you do, you're always gonna get a really good spot because you're not worrying about how much space an entire group takes. Like, you have this huge advantage being one person to find spots to go to take single rider lines, to get reservations. So do everything you can to take advantage of that, because you are already in a really great position to get to do a lot of the things that you want to do, that a lot of people who go for the first time don't necessarily get to do because they're hindered by a bigger group of people. That said, still make a plan of the things you 100% want to see, because, you know, you definitely still want to have that list of, like, these are must-dos and these are nice-to-dos and these are like, I don't care either way. Like, have that planned out in your head. Take the time to look at the park map, look at the rides, and decide what you want to do. But I will tell you, as a solo person, you're gonna find that you're gonna be able to do things a lot quicker than most people. So you're gonna have a great first trip because you're gonna be able to do a lot of the stuff that people have a hard time doing with too many people in tow. Piggyback off of that, I would say definitely build some out of park time, because you're gonna get through things a lot faster. I find that I'll go to Magic Kingdom and actually get through most of the rides in about half the day, whereas maybe if I'm with other people, it would take the full day. And then you can decide, do I want to hang out in the park and just spend some time there, redo rides, you know, whatever it is, Or do you want to build in outside time, pool time, time at Disney Springs, time at the boardwalk? So consider that, because you might actually find yourself having a bit more time per day, because you are going to get things done generally faster as one person, as long as you're not in like crazy high Christmas season. Another tip I would say is really appreciate doing nothing. And by doing nothing, I mean strolling around Epcot and taking in the atmosphere, not feeling like you need to accomplish things. I find that when I'm with people, it's always about accomplishing the next ride or sitting down for a restaurant or doing something. And I think when you are by yourself, you have so much more time to appreciate just being there. And to be able to do that on a first trip is a blessing, because you're really getting to stop and see things that most people don't even notice 2, 3, 4 trips in. So really appreciate the time of doing nothing, especially on your first trip. You're gonna get this very well-rounded experience, and you're really gonna be immersed in it if you slow down. I'd also say that the refresh strategy for the app for Fast Passes it's your best friend as a single person. It's your best friend no matter who you are and if you're in a bigger group, but like honestly, this is going to be amazing as one person, because you have so much more of a chance of getting those hard to get fast passes throughout the day. If you don't know what the refreshing fast pass strategy is, I have a video on it. I'll point you to it right here. And it's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple concept of refreshing the fast pass offerings to wait and see when a better one comes up, or when a ride you couldn't get before comes up. And as one person, it is so easy to go through and get a whole bunch of fast passes and just fill up your day, as you keep using them. It's so much harder to get a fast pass for 6 people for Flight of Passage as opposed to 1. So this is like 100% something you need to be doing if you are one person, because you are just going to be able to do things that much quicker. You're going to be able to do rides that, are harder to normally get. It is literally your best friend. If tours appeal to you, the idea of doing a behind the scenes tour, I think doing it solo is the best time to do it. Because again, it can be very hard to get 6 people to agree to spend the money and spend the time on a tour in a park. But if it's something that you are thinking about doing, and I can give you a link below to the Disney website where they discuss all the different tours, because there's a lot in different parks. I would 100% do that for your first time trip, because again, getting to do something that not a lot of people necessarily do on their first trip, but it's going to be so much easier for you to plan because it's just you don't have to worry about everybody else. So consider that if like you're interested enough in behind the scenes and want to geek out on that stuff, like solo is definitely the way to do it. And lastly, I recommend staying on Disney property if this is your first time and you're solo especially. You don't want to rent a car and feel like you're getting lost in Orlando. I mean, GPS is great, but even sometimes the GPS has been known to send people in the cast member entrances for parks, and like it's not super reliable all the time. So I think to get rid of any sort of thinking about where you're going, and this kind of goes for all first timers, but especially when you're alone, because I feel like getting lost can be a little bit easier and you can't rely on someone else to know where you're going. I would stay on property, use the free transportation, the transportation from the airport to there, the buses, the boats, the monorail to the parks. It's just gonna make your life easier. There's one less thing you need to worry about, is like trying to figure out a map of Orlando. It's already hard enough to figure out the maps of the parks if you don't know them, so why add that added stress? So my recommendation to you would be to stay on property. It all depends on your budget. If you want to splurge, go for it. But obviously as a solo person, you might want to lean towards value resorts or moderate resorts because you don't have anyone else to split that cost with, so just keep that in mind. So those are some tips for solo first time Disney World. It's kind of a mishmash of like things I would say separately to both groups. I don't think it's like too crazy different. I think what you really should do is research your solo trip tips and research your first timer tips and kind of take them all into consideration when you're planning this trip. If you have any thoughts on tips that you think would work for solo first timers, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, then like it. If you like me, you should subscribe. I make videos every single week. And yeah, I mean, we're getting into me being in Disney soon, so I'm very excited about that and all the content I'm gonna bring to you from the parks. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.